forklift is used for the transportation of heavy or large materials over short distances, usually in factories or workshops. Similar to the ones seen here in the video, forklifts are commonly known as industrially powered machines. In most forklifts, a driver sits in the cage of the vehicle and can either lift, reach, and/or pull back objects through the use of hydraulics in what is known as the mast. Types of forklifts include internal combustion engine forklifts, electric engine forklifts, hand rider forklifts, and rough terrain forklifts. All types of forklifts use hydraulics. However, for purposes of this video, we will only be discussing Class 4 internal combustion engine trucks. A forklift uses hydraulics in its mast in order to lift and transport extremely heavy objects. Some of the main components in the system include the reservoir, the pump, the valves, the cylinders, and the filter. Let's first look at the reservoir tank. The reservoir is where the hydraulic fluid used for lifting and steering the machine is stored. On most forklift hydraulic tanks, there is a fill gauge that tells how high to fill the fluid. The most common type of hydraulic fluid is iOS 32 hydraulic oil. A forklift user can usually get about 1,000 hours of use out of the hydraulic fluid before needing to replace it. The capacity of the reservoir depends on the flow rate of the pump. Typically, the reservoir holds 3 times the amount of fluid that is drawn out by the pump. The pump in a forklift is used to take low-pressure fluid out of the reservoir tank and transport it into a high-pressure line, where it is sent to the control valve. The hydraulic pump can usually be found underneath the seat of the vehicle. The main type of valve used in a forklift is a control valve that is used for lift, tilt, side shift, reach, and other functions. The valve diverts oil from the main line to cylinders controlling each specific function. Control valves on forklifts are usually controlled by levers. On one forklift, there can be anywhere from 2 to 5 cylinders. They can control functions such as hoisting, tilting, and reaching. The cylinders are what actually do the work. The final major component is a filter. A filter is used on all forklifts because hydraulic circuits have extremely small tolerances and can be majorly affected by even a little bit of a foreign substance. The process begins in the reservoir tank, where hydraulic fluid is stored. The fluid is forced out by means of the pump. The pump then transports the fluid from a low pressure to a high pressure, creating flow in the system. Once in a high pressure line, the fluid is taken to the control valve, where the fluid is either sent onto specific cylinders in the system, or it is sent back to the reservoir. The control valve is operated by the user through the use of levers. If one lever is pulled, the fluid is able to flow to that specific cylinder. Each lever controls a specific cylinder. If there is nowhere for the fluid to flow, it is sent back to the reservoir. On most electric trucks, however, the pump only turns on if one of the levers are pulled. Once the fluid passes through the control valve, it is sent to the cylinder, where it is used to do a specific operation. Finally, the fluid is sent to a low-pressure line, where it is then filtered and emptied back into the reservoir. I think that the control valve in a forklift is a very good idea because it can accomplish many different tasks simply by pulling different levers. If I were to improve the forklift, I would change how small of a tolerance the hydraulic system has for fluid. This would eliminate the need for a filter in the system.